Wish gone wrong made me a girl permanently. I never believed in magic. Wishes were for children, fairy tales, and desperate people clinging to something that wasn't real. But if I had known what would happen that night, I never would have made that wish. My name is Alex Carter, 25 years old, stuck in a dead-end IT job, and hiding a secret I never dared share with anyone, not even Emma, my girlfriend of 3 years. By day, I was just another faceless worker in a gray office, fixing network issues and pretending to care about my manager's constant micromanaging. But by night, when I was alone, I became someone else. Someone I could never show the world. It started as curiosity when I was younger. A fascination with makeup tutorials, a lingering touch on soft fabrics while shopping with my mom. As I grew older, the desire never went away. If anything, it became stronger, an itch beneath my skin that only dressing up could satisfy. The moment I slipped into a dress, applied a hint of mascara, or wore a pair of heels, I felt complete. More myself than I ever did in the dull, restrictive life of Alex Carter. But this wasn't something I could share. Emma loved me, but she didn't know this part of me. She saw me as her dependable, if somewhat reserved, boyfriend. We had a good relationship, stable, comfortable. She was the outgoing one, always dragging me to social events, making me laugh when work drained the life out of me. But she also had strong opinions, and I had heard her offhand comments about men who were too feminine. She didn't say them with malice, but they were enough to keep me silent. So I kept my secret locked away, indulging in it only when I was alone. That night should have been like any other. Emma was out of town visiting her sister, which meant I had the apartment to myself. As soon as I got home from work, I felt the anticipation building. I locked the door, my heart racing as I pulled out the hidden box from the back of my closet. Inside was my collection: dresses, skirts, lingerie, makeup, all the things that made me feel alive. I chose a deep red dress, one that hugged my body in all the right ways, and a pair of black stockings. My hands trembled as I applied makeup, transforming my face into the version of me that existed only in the shadows. With every stroke of foundation and swipe of lipstick, I felt my real self emerging. I stood in front of the mirror, staring at the girl who looked back at me. She was confident, beautiful, free. I should have been content with that moment, but something inside me ached for more. A wish. A dream I had never dared to say out loud. I whispered it, barely believing my own words. I wish I could be like this forever. The words vanished into the silence, swallowed by the dim glow of the room. I laughed at myself. How ridiculous. Wishes weren't real. Or so I thought. Because that night, everything changed. The night felt electric. Even as I sat there in my transformed state, wearing the red dress that clung to my body, stockings that made my legs feel sleek and soft, and a perfectly blended smoky eye that highlighted my features, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was different. It wasn't just the usual rush of excitement. I had felt that countless times before, the thrill of slipping into another version of myself, the way my heart raced as I admired my reflection. No, this was something else. A weight in the air, a shift in reality that made my skin prickle. But I ignored it, focusing instead on the moment. I moved from the bedroom to the living room, the soft click of my heels on the hardwood floor sending a shiver of satisfaction through me. It had been so long since I had a full night to indulge, and I wasn't going to waste it. I poured myself a glass of wine, savoring the way the rim of the glass pressed against my painted lips. This was who I wanted to be. And yet, no matter how much I enjoyed it, the shadow of guilt loomed over me. Emma. She was the one thing keeping me tethered to the version of myself the world knew. She loved me, but she only knew half of me. I told myself that if she truly loved me, she'd accept this part of me too, but could I really risk it? Could I handle her looking at me differently? No. That's why this had to remain a secret, a hidden pleasure, a part of me that only came out in the darkness when no one was watching. Or so I thought. I had just settled onto the couch when my phone buzzed. Emma. I froze, my heart leaping into my throat. She was supposed to be gone for the whole weekend. My hands trembled as I picked up the phone, reading her message. Hey babe, flight got canceled. Heading home now. Should be there in about an hour. Miss you, Redheart. My breath hitched. An hour. I had an hour to undo everything. To wipe away the makeup, change out of the dress, put everything back in its hiding spot. I jumped to my feet, nearly tripping over my heels. My mind raced through the steps. I had done this before, rushed to change when I thought someone might find out, but this was different. This wasn't just a close call. This was Emma, and she was coming home. I darted toward the bedroom, my fingers clumsy as I tried to unzip the dress. It wouldn't budge. My hands, slick with sweat, fumbled with the fabric as panic tightened in my chest. Come on, I muttered. I ran to the bathroom, grabbing the makeup wipes. I scrubbed frantically, but instead of coming off, the foundation sank deeper into my skin. The more I wiped, the more it seemed to blend, as if it were part of me. My reflection stared back at me, the same face I had admired just minutes ago. But now, it wasn't just makeup. It was me. Something was wrong. My breathing grew shallow as I reached up to my hair, my wig. I tugged at it, expecting the synthetic fibers to slip free. But they didn't. It was real. The soft strands ran between my fingers, connected to my scalp as if they had always been there. I grabbed a lock and yanked, wincing as pain shot through my scalp. No. I stumbled back, my heart hammering. The dress clung to me like a second skin, my waist curving more than it should. My body felt different, softer, smaller. I lifted trembling, hands to my chest, feeling a fullness that hadn't been there before. This wasn't just a mistake. This was my wish, and it had come true. Emma was coming home, and I wasn't Alex anymore. The room spun around me as I clutched the bathroom sink, my breath coming in short, panicked gasps. The reflection staring back at me was no longer an illusion, no longer just makeup and a wig. The woman in the mirror was me. I lifted trembling hands, tracing the soft contours of my face. My jawline was softer, my nose slightly more delicate. My eyelashes fluttered, longer, darker. My lips, full and painted red, trembled as I mouthed silent words to myself. This isn't possible. I yanked at the dress again, but it hugged my body as if it had been made for me. My curves that shouldn't have been there, pressed against the fabric. I stepped back, my heels clicking against the floor, the sound too loud, too real. And then it hit me. Emma. She was on her way home. I only had minutes to fix this. My hands flew to my face again, desperate to rub away the transformation. But no amount of scrubbing would change the truth. My body had shifted, reshaped itself into the woman I had always dreamed of being, but at the worst possible time. Panic clawed at my chest as I stumbled toward the bedroom. I needed to find something, anything, to make myself look like Alex again. But every piece of clothing I grabbed felt wrong. The loose t-shirt that once fit me now hung awkwardly over my smaller frame. The jeans that used to be comfortable now felt stiff and baggy. My fingers shook as I buttoned a shirt over my chest, but the shape of my body betrayed me. And then, a key in the door. I froze. The click of the lock. Emma was home. I barely had time to grab a blanket, wrapping it around myself as I bolted back to the living room, my heart hammering in my chest. The door swung open, and there she was, Emma, dragging her suitcase inside, her face lit with exhaustion and relief. God, you would not believe the day I've had, she sighed, shutting the door behind her. I swear, airports are the worst. Her eyes landed on me. I gripped the blanket tighter. Her brows furrowed. Why are you all bundled up? It's like 70 degrees in here. My throat felt dry. I tried to speak, but my voice, softer, higher, was not my own. Just cold, I stammered. The sound of my own voice sent another wave of panic through me. It was unmistakably feminine. Emma's eyes narrowed slightly. Are you okay? I forced a smile. Yeah, just a little off today. She dropped her bags and walked over to me. I tensed as she leaned in, pressing a hand to my forehead. You don't feel warm, she murmured. Are you sick? No, just tired. I turned away before she could study me too closely, but every nerve in my body screamed that she knew something was wrong. Then, the moment I dreaded most. She leaned closer, inhaling slightly. Wait a second, is that perfume? My stomach dropped. I had been so caught up in my panic that I hadn't realized my own scent had changed. The subtle fragrance of makeup, the lingering floral notes of the perfume I had applied earlier, it was all over me. Emma pulled back slightly, her expression shifting from concern to something else. Something sharper. Alex, what's going on? I swallowed hard. What do you mean? She crossed her arms, her gaze locking onto me like a hawk. I come home early, and you're acting weird. You smell like perfume. You're hiding under a blanket, and your voice sounds different. She tilted her head, her eyes narrowing as they flicked down toward my exposed collarbone, where, to my horror, the edge of a bra strap peeked out from beneath the blanket. A slow realization dawned in her eyes. My pulse thundered in my ears. There was no way out of this. Alex. Emma's voice was quiet now, cautious. Are you wearing makeup? I could deny it. I could lie, make up some excuse, try to salvage the situation. But then Emma reached forward before I could stop her, her fingers brushing against my cheek. Some part of me expected her to smear away the foundation, to reveal my old face beneath. But nothing changed. Because this was my face now. She drew back slightly, her eyes wide. Your skin, it's different. She shook her head as if trying to piece the puzzle together. Your face is different. Panic surged through me, but before I could stop her, she grabbed the edge of the blanket and yanked it away. The dress, the curves, the undeniable reality of my transformed body laid bare in front of her. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Emma's mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. Her eyes scanned me from head to toe, flicking between my face, my body, and the dress that clung to me like a second skin. Then she whispered, "Who are you?" Tears pricked at my eyes. My lips trembled. "It's me," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm still me." But even I wasn't sure if that was true anymore. Emma didn't move. She stood frozen in place, staring at me as if I were a stranger who had broken into her home. And maybe, in a way, that's exactly what I was. My pulse pounded in my ears. Every second that passed without her saying something, anything, felt like an eternity. My legs felt weak beneath me, the heels I had once felt so powerful and now making me feel fragile and exposed. "Emma," I tried again, my voice softer now, pleading. She blinked, finally snapping out of her stunned silence. But when her eyes met mine again, they weren't filled with understanding. They were filled with something else. Suspicion. Fear. Who are you?" she whispered again, but this time, there was a tremble in her voice. I shook my head, stepping toward her. "It's me. I swear it's still me." She took a step back. "No," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "No, that's not possible." I reached out, desperate for her to believe me. "Emma, please." She flinched. That tiny movement, that instinctive recoil, was like a knife to my chest. She didn't see me. She saw something else. Someone else. Her eyes darted to the door, as if she were calculating how fast she could get out. I couldn't let her leave. If she left now, if she ran, I knew I'd lose her forever. But what could I say? How could I possibly explain this when I didn't even understand it myself? I took a deep breath, forcing my voice to stay steady. "Emma, I know this is insane. I know it doesn't make sense. But I promise you it's me. Alex." She shook her head again. No, Alex is." She stopped herself, her gaze flickering over my body again, as if the answer were written somewhere on my skin. "This isn't real," she muttered. "This can't be real." I swallowed hard. "But it is real." Silence. Then, finally, "How?" Her voice was barely above a whisper. I exhaled, relief washing over me. She was still here. She hadn't run. That meant there was a chance. "I don't know," I admitted. "It just happened." She let out a hollow laugh, but there was no humor in it. "Things like this don't just happen." I hesitated. Should I tell her about the wish? Would she even believe me? Before I could decide, a sudden vibration filled the room. Emma's phone. She glanced down at it, and in that moment, something changed in her expression. A flicker of realization. I followed her gaze and my stomach dropped. Her lock screen. A photo of us. Except it wasn't us. It was her and someone else. Someone who looked just like me. A girl. A girl I had never seen before. I felt the blood drain from my face. Emma's breathing grew uneven as she turned the phone toward me, her hand shaking. "What the hell is this?" I didn't have an answer. Because my entire world had just shattered. This wasn't just about my body changing. Reality itself had changed. And I had no idea how far it went. What happens next? Has reality rewritten itself completely? Does Emma remember a different version of Alex? Or is she starting to piece together the impossible truth? Comment your theories below. What would you do if you were in Emma's shoes? And if you were Alex, is this a dream come true, or a nightmare you can't wake up from? Stay tuned for part 2.